Hey there, everyone. This is Kelly, and I am back with another segment of our inspiration series. And today I am here with Naima, and I'm going to let her tell you more about herself. But I will tell you what I know of her is that she's been in my sphere now for, I want to say, maybe 2.5 years, somewhere around there. Maybe it's only been 2 years, but she's been in my sphere and has worked with me in different levels um, in the academy, and she's been in our Ignite program. And what I know of this woman is that she 100% shows up. So I just want to honor her for that. And just as a thought for everyone else who's watching this. Whenever you are not seeing the results in your business, in your life, really, even, if you're trying to lose weight, if you are showing up in your world and not getting the results that you want, a great question to ask yourself is, where am I not showing up? Because I would attribute that Naima's success has really come from 100% commitment and always showing up. So I have her here with us today. So Naima, tell us who you are, what your business name is, and where you are located.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Naima Blasco. The name of my company is Boutique Concierge, and I live in Los Angeles, even though you will notice by my accent that I'm not from here. I'm from Spain, from Barcelona.
Yes, and you were just sharing with me a few minutes ago before we clicked the record button how long you've been here. And why don't you share with everyone real quick when you moved here to the United States?
I was telling Kelly that I moved to the States in October of 2001. You probably remember that that was right after September 11th. And so, I had planned to come here already and nothing was going to change my plans. And that's also where I take to my business. Like I commit to something and I just go for it.
Yeah, so right there, right? So a lot of people would have maybe said, that's not right for me, or I can't do it now, or it's too late, or it's too this, or all the other excuses that, and it's really our lower brain, our ego brain, that is making all these statements when we're about to do something big.
Yeah, especially considering that my boyfriend at the time was a New Yorker. So he was devastated for months and I was moving in with him. So anyway, that's another story.
Yeah. Wow. So well, we're glad you're here with us.
Me too. Thank you.
Yeah. So, and as we start into the interview, I'm going to see you in a few short weeks at CA Live 2020.
Yep.
And you were here with us last year, 2019. And so, in case somebody's watching this and they're thinking why somebody even comes, a second year, and we have people who are coming their fourth year in a row, which this is my fourth year. I am not 100% certain we're going to do it again next year. So if somebody's on the fence about getting their ticket, I would certainly commit this year. So we've had people who come year after year, but you share with us and share with me. I'd love to know why. Like, why is it important for you to come back a second year?
I think when you're a business owner, and even if you work for a corporation, you need training. You need to get together with other business owners, other colleagues, and that motivates you. You learn so much, and especially in CA Life, it's so hands-on. This year is going to be even one more day, which is great, 3 days. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And so I'm coming back because I see education, because to me, this is not only getting together with all of you who I love now, but it's also educating myself, not only for my business, but also as a human being. You learn so much, you grow so much. And I did this type of training before when I used to have another different, very different type of business, but it's just like any other thing in my business. It's another tool. Like there's networking and there's marketing and there's all these things that we need to do, right, to move forward our businesses. And training, education, getting, especially for us who are business owners, we are alone. when you go to CA Live, you stretch and deepen those relationships so much with all these ladies from all over the country. And now I believe someone is coming from Canada. So,
Yep.
and to tell you the truth, I would go to Europe if CA Live were in Europe. It's just like, to me, it's just good for my business. So whatever is good for my business, I'll do it. We were talking about the gym right
Mhm.
before the record.
Yes. Yeah.
I was mentioning to Kelly, here it's 7:30 a.m. right now. I went to the gym at 6 a.m. Why? Because if I don't go at 6 a.m., I don't go. Do I
Mhm.
want to stay in shape? Yes. What does it take? This. Okay, let's do it. Do I love waking up at 5:30? No. You know? But it's like you gotta, wait everything and then decide if you wanna do that. If you're 100% there, you gotta go to CA Live. That's the way to move your business forward. The support is incredible.
Yeah, and I know like I'm not there as an attendee. I'm there as the presenter of the information, right? But I know just watching the emotions change in the room. We've laughed a lot, right? We laugh a lot because I can be a little bit of a hoot sometimes. So we'll laugh because I'm silly. And then there are also times we deeply cry too, right? Because we're releasing releasing the emotions, or realizing that we're not alone in the way we feel, or perhaps uh, understanding that we're not alone in the resistance that you've met along the path, right? And sometimes, I used to be part of a group, mastermind group for years. And one of my favorite things, and I know it sounds awful, but one of my favorite things about being part of that group was that when somebody else was having some crazy shit happening in their business, or they were not doing well, I wasn't happy for them, but it made me feel more normal.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, so I'm not the only one that feels like this. I'm not the only one that constantly feels like a failure. I'm not the only one that feels like I'm not doing enough. I'm not, and coming in that space as well, it's kind of liberating, right? And it's like, wow, well, if they can do it and they're still having the same obstacles I can,
Mhm.
I know I can do it too,
Exactly.
right? And I
Totally.
love what you said too. CA Live isn't just about, um, and it is, right? It's about marketing. It's about expanding your business. It's about gaining clarity on how to talk about it. And even just like some of the things that we've done, the clarity exercises we've done around networking and how to talk about what you do and share what you do. Um, the smallest thing can be profound in the just little connection that you need in your business. But it's been more than just marketing. It's also about expanding ourselves.
Mhm.
Wouldn't you say that that's true?
So completely true. And I mean, I know you are the same way, and many of us in the group, but I think that we keep growing every day, and in order for us to grow, we got to keep reading and putting into practice what we read. We got to go to these type of events. And also because in the evenings, it's a lot of fun too. You go out with all these amazing ladies
Yeah.
and you get to become friends,
Yeah.
and I mean, I love that, getting to meet people from all over the country. Come on. And
Yeah.
traveling, which I was gonna say too. Traveling, you gotta go there. And that inspire already, just taking the plane. That's amazing, you know?
Yep.
Because then you start to fly and let your imagination go and get the inspiration and be opening yourself up. So I really believe that it's great for you as a human being as well, because even if this business one day shuts down, like it happened to me with another one, right?
Mhm.
But I learned so much from I mean, I grew so much that I
Yes.
thought it doesn't matter if I lost money, blah, 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 blah. I'm so much ahead from where I was then. So I see that what happens in CA Life is the same thing. You keep growing and learning and transforming yourself and making beautiful friends, which I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll say, I know that you girls love I don't get to hang out with you at night because I'm usually recouping from the day. But I know you girls have such a blast. And we typically try to get together at least one night as a group, collectively. And it is. And what you can do in 3 days in that type of setting is more than what some people do in an entire year.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's why it's called an immersion event. That's
Mhm.
why people run events, and I go to events.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people, will say, "Oh, well, I'll be just coming home from vacation, or I'm just doing this." And I'll tell you that I have been away, been home for 5 days, hopped in a plane, and then went to an event that was a 5-day event. And it just empowers you and it re-jolts you, because otherwise we're alone most of the time. Now, we're not alone when we're out networking and stuff, but those aren't necessarily our people. You'll find some people out there that you really connect with, but when
Mhm.
you come into a space like this where the event is put on in a way to strategically to create the
Mhm.
environment, to create the emotions, to create the breakthroughs, um, that doesn't happen by happenstance. And sometimes you gotta hop in a plane sometimes and go do that.
Mhm.
I'll be away the end of March again for a week for an event working on my relationship with my husband and all my relationships. I will be home for 3 days. I will hop in a plane again and I will travel again for a mastermind. And then 2 weeks later is CA Live. And you just make it, you make it happen, right? You just make it happen, and then everything else fills itself in.
Yeah.
So I really didn't mean for us to take this much time on it, but this was kind of like super
We got
fun. So
excited.
so I know I was like, oh, let's just keep talking about it, right? So sorry for everyone. Sorry, not sorry for everyone watching the recording. So let's dive into the inspiration part. So why? How did you make the decision to start this crazy business? My light just dropped
This
over there.
crazy. Because I'm crazy. That's why. Well, I never had a conventional job. Back in Spain, I was producing commercials and movies, so that's not a Monday through Friday job. You're not in an office all day. It's completely different. So after I had my child, I wasn't working because I was taking care of him. And once I decided he started to go to preschool, then I was like, okay, now what?
Mhm.
So I kept on not. I didn't go back to the entertainment because I didn't like the environment here in Hollywood, believe it or not. So I was doing just little gigs here and there because
Mhm.
my husband was making money, so it wasn't so much about the money, but about me, right? Feeling useful and being part of society,
I know that feeling.
right? But then
Mhm.
as I separated from him, and now it's like now I gotta really really work. So at that moment I had no choice, and I took an office job. I was the office manager of an attorney's firm. I was like, come on, Naima, you can do this. You can do this. Let's try it. Everybody does it. Why can you do it? So the first day I got to the office and they showed me my corner, like I called it, with no windows. My heart literally, I was like, I have a kid and I got to do this. So I committed to that. A year later, I quit. My boss said, no, please, please, let's do at least part time. You can work from home. I'm like, okay. Another year went by, and that year it was December of 2016. I quit completely because we also had a disagreement about ethics, and I was like, I'm out of here. And so it was January, and I didn't know what I was going to do. But you know how life is, it just you open up, things happen. There was this one night I couldn't sleep. I woke up, I was looking through these photographs, and I ran into the photo of an ex boyfriend in Spain. I called him, and he was telling me he had this business. It wasn't exactly like ours,
Mhm.
but something like that. And so that opened up an idea. And then the following days, things started to happen, and I thought, wait, this is, and for everybody listening, if you don't know what to do in your career, or maybe you know now, but in the future, this really worked for me. I ask the people who know me the best, what am I good at? Because
Yes.
you think, I'm great at this, but then people see you in a different way, right? So I asked my mom, my dad, my siblings, my best friends. So they said different things, but there was one common thread that they all said: you love helping others. You're always organizing our lives. Every time you come to Spain, there are parties and dinners that we don't get to have when you're in LA. So I was like, okay, how do I apply that, right? And then little by
Mm.
little, it started to happen. And now I gotta say that I have no idea how I didn't see this before, because this is so much me. I
Mm.
love, 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 love what I do every
Oh
day.
my God. I am head to toe body chills right now. I really am. It like starts down the back of the head and then it goes down the back and then trickles down the arms. And
Yeah.
And what you just shared, I hope to goodness gracious, I hope whoever's listening to this really, really heard what you just said. And they might even need to rewind to go back and hear
I
that
was going to say.
again, right? If you did not hear what she said, this is required listening for you all to go back and rewind that again. She wasn't sure. She asked other people what she was good at. That's what I did too. I did the same exact, because I think a business coach or a life coach had told me, like, reach out to your 10 best friends or 10, not even your friends, like 10 people who know you the best in your world, and ask them what they see about you, right?
Right.
Like how they see you in the world. And I got all these things. And this was actually after I already started my business, which actually started to put me into this role of coaching, because people were like, you inspire people. Nothing can stop you. Like, you always made me want to be better. And all these, I was like, what? Really? And things I never even knew.
Yeah.
So that question alone, and then the common thread that she found. And then when she opened up her mind, it was like, huh, this might be interesting. Poof.
Mhm.
That's when the signs begin to appear. That's when the resources begin to appear, right?
Mhm.
And it's what it is it's like the breadcrumbs
Mhm.
that you just begin
Yeah.
to follow, right? Because I think most people are like, they're so used to traditional, I'm going to go to college and at the end of 4 years I'll have a degree, right? So they're very control oriented. There's a control about that, and our school system is actually set up to control the way we operate in the world.
Mhm.
Whereas when you do something on your own, especially in entrepreneurship, it's a lot different.
Mhm.
There is no control really. There's the one thing that is always constant is that the answers are always there when you're willing to look for them.
Yeah.
So please continue. I just want to make sure everybody like really heard what you shared there.
Yeah. So at that moment, I thought, okay, how do I apply this, right? And so I started to look for agencies that hire personal assistants. But that was taking a while. I was sending resumes, but it wasn't working. So I found one personal concierge company in LA, and I reached out, and she said, I would love to hire you. So one day we went to work for a client in Malibu, and we did the job and all of that. And then I remember getting back in my car, and at that moment, phew, I
Mm-hmm.
had this thought, and I thought to myself, I don't need an agency. I don't need another company to give me work. I can do this myself, and I'm gonna set up a company. And at that second is when I decided, and that was February. It was just a few weeks after I had quit my job. And
Wow.
so hands on, once I mean it takes me a while to make decisions, but once I make the decision,
Yes.
get out of my way. So
Yes.
I started to set up the company, like you said, one time, going online, right, trying to find out what, who,
Mm-hmm.
what. And then the rest of history. I launched in June of 2017.
It's
That's when I
amazing.
launched.
It's
and
amazing.
and and like I said before, I don't know how I didn't see this before you know
And what's interesting too, and I have learned this in so many ways in my life, and I still learn it, and I'm still going to learn it. This is really what we're here for, right? We're here to learn the lessons. Um, and what I have realized too is, so you're sharing this story now of yes, and then I did this, and then I did this, and then I did this, right? But I bet you back then it wasn't so, and then I did this, and then I did this. It was probably like, oh my god, I gotta do this, and then what? And I don't know, and I'm scared to death, and what if, and I don't know, but I'm committed, but I'm gonna keep trying, right? I'm sure there was a whole lot of other emotion and so
Yeah.
forth wrapped up into that. It's kind of like I liken business ownership to like childbirth in a
Mhm.
way, right? Very different, but in a way, right? So when you're going through labor, it is living hell. I don't know how I'm going to do it. And I had four, and I had them all natural, right? And then there's that point where you're like, and they're coming in and they're like, do you want an epidural? And I'm like, no, I'm doing this natural. And they're like, I don't know about that. And I'm like, watch me, right? Watch me. and through it, and you're, you know, and the contractions are coming and you're sweating and and your body's being ripped apart in all different ways that it's not meant to rip apart. And you're going through it all and it's painful. And then at the end, you've got this baby, right?
Mhm.
And then the funny thing is, it's like you remember the steps, right? Like you remember pushing, you remember being put on the monitor, you remember, oh crap, all the steps
Mhm.
that got you through the labor to birth, but you kind of forget about the pain.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know it was there, but it's like you kind of forget about it, right?
Mhm.
Because that in itself, that's always the journey. So
Yeah.
just remember that. Like it's the journey between the gap of one point to the next point. This part is not, this is the journey,
Yeah.
each level.
Yeah. Totally.
So we know how you decided to become a concierge and start your business. So what was your first paid gig?
My first paid gig was Lily Bright. That was my first client. I was, thanks to networking, I attended a network event. I was sick that day. I had gastroenteritis. I was vomiting everywhere. And I went to a network event. Anyways, I met a wonderful Laura, and she recommended me, weeks after, she recommended me to Lily, this client, in one of the best neighborhoods here in LA. So what I went to do for her was the typical to-do list of, you know, you're in the house and I need to get this done, this email to my accountant, and this and the plans and, you know, all of that. And so, but Lily was only at one time. It was back then. Now it's she came back, but back then it was just one time.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, no clients. I mean, it took me, as you know, it took me a while, you know, to get my business going. But
Yeah.
yeah, she was the first client. Mhm. And I had an accident on the way to her. I mean, it's just like, yeah, it was insane. I was like, I remember taking the papers from the woman who hit me, and I'm like, I just got my first client. Okay, I don't have. I gotta go. It
I
was
don't have time for an accident right now. I've got my first client. I've been waiting for this for months, right?
yeah. So that
That's
was
amazing. Amazing and awful and funny and perfect all at the same time. So that's a question I always like to ask people, because I think there's a lot of people out there when they start their business, they're like, oh yeah, the books say hang some flyers, you don't really need any money for startup, and it's easy to get clients, right? I mean, that's all the stuff that I read. It's easy to get clients, and then I kept beating the shit out of myself because it was not easy for me to get clients.
yeah, because
um,
yeah,
so how long were you in business when you were hired for your first paying gig?
7 months.
7 months. And I will say that that seems to be a pretty solid average for most people.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
my first paying gig, I was think I was in business maybe a month, but my first gig was helping somebody write a resume, which was really not really what I wanted to do, but I would take the money, right? Because in the beginning, you're like, I'll do anything, right? And after that first time, I was like, oh, I will never do that again. That was awful. And I think I got paid $50 for it. And I was like, that was not worth $50. That was awful.
yeah.
That's how you begin to learn what you won't do. And then my first real like concierge type paying client, I was in business almost, no, not quite 6 months. I want to say 3 or 4 months. Um, when funny, it never really happens this way, but somebody found me on the Chamber of Commerce's website. Talk about a fluke, right?
Mhm.
Um, but it's not a fluke in the sense that, and I teach this to all my students all the time, right? Your job is to just keep showing up and do the action and not always expect the result to bounce back directly from that specific action. So I want you all to write this down for yourself. I don't always get results from the specific action, right? But through your energy of doing the work and doing the marketing and putting energy into growing your business, poop, something pops up over here. that was not by happenstance. You might think it was by happenstance, but it actually wasn't. It actually is a indirect correlation from the energy you've been putting into your business. So I had been busting my tail, networking, connecting, coffee dates, doing all the things that I actually was, a lot of it I was doing wrong in the beginning, but I was doing it anyway, right? And then the that never works happened for me. And I got a call from someone through the Chamber of Commerce website to go be at their home when their pool table was being delivered and assembled. And then she became a long-term client right off of that. And then that one, and then the next one. And I think that first client helps give you the confidence you need to keep doing the marketing, right? And then I was self-sustaining 6 months in. So self-sustaining meaning I wasn't taking a paycheck, but all the money coming into the business was supporting the business at that time. I put a couple $1,000s in up front. Then 6 months in, I was, whatever I was making was enough to sustain the business, you know, the networking and all that stuff. And then I did put more money into my business a little later to build my website, because I realized that my drop and plug website that my husband spent 3 months building for me was never actually going to work. And so I invested in a website. But yeah, so it's amazing how we get those first clients. And then anyone watching this, of course, just know that, you know, it could take 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 7 months to get your first client. And that's the average, and that's okay. Just
I
stop.
think, yeah,
Stop comparing to what you see other people doing, because you don't know how long they've been hauling ass in the background to get the clients that they do have,
mhm, yeah.
right?
I think it's super important, or it was for me, to feel
Can you
confident.
just speak up just a tiny
Yeah,
bit for me? Mm-hmm.
yeah. I remember I was always feeling very confident and positive, and knowing I was always like, okay, even if it takes longer to get my first client, but I want to have the best human beings in the world as
Mm-hmm.
clients. So that kept me going, and I thought
Mm.
I will get them because there's a need. There's a need completely for this service, and I think everywhere, especially in this city. I mean, it's insane, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you have that confidence, and you believe in what you're doing and you love what
Yes.
you're doing, you will get there. But again, you
Yes.
don't know how long, because we all think, right, I'm opening a business and then the clients are going to
They
pour.
just appear.
No, because they don't know you. But we don't know
Exactly.
that, but they don't know you. And so you have to be seen and do everything you can to be seen.
Yes.
That was one of the biggest lessons that I learned. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
Um, there was a point I wanted to add to that, what you said too, about, you said that I wanted to stay positive, right?
Hmm.
And I wanted to work with the best humans, right? Like the best clients out there. So again, I just wanted to take what she said. This is another huge lesson, and you want to write this one down for yourselves also. There's so many good things coming out of this, Naima. I knew this was going to be amazing. Um, when you are in a chaotic vibration, when you are losing your shit, I'm just saying, and you're chaotic, you will attract clients who are also losing their shit and chaotic. What that means is, when you are in this need, like, I need to get a client, right? And we've all been there, and I've certainly done it.
Hmm.
Then you end up with a client who kind of has that same energy. There's nothing wrong with them. They're still good human beings. There's nothing wrong with them, but it ends up being an energy that might be hard to work with. And then you end up working with clients who are not your ideal personality people, those dream clients that you really want to work with. And dream clients aren't just about a particular person and being able to afford your services. A dream client is really one that's so yummy that their personality is a personality match for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's another writer downer right there. I have a really good friend who we had a conversation one time, and she shared with me that she only likes to work with clients who love to emoji as much as she does. And I was like, oh, I so get that. I'm like, that's why you and me are so good together, right? And that's just like one of her things, because it leaves a funness, a playfulness in the work that they do. It doesn't always have to be hard, right? It can be
Right.
fun and almost like flirty, not flirty as in a sexual flirty way, but like just flirty. It's fun and flirty and free and right. That is the component of what a dream client really is.
Completely.
Most people overlook that
Yeah. No,
little thing.
to me, it's like it's crucial and it's needed. I have one client. Not that long ago, I went to her house and her brother was visiting. So when she introduces me to her brother, you know how she introduced me? She said, "This is my wife," and
Nice.
I was like, "Good," because
Yes.
it's a wife is a lot of things, but one of them
Yes.
is what we're talking about because we do get along super well. She's adorable. I love her. She loves me. So it's like comparing me to a wife. I was like, I guess, and she is my ideal client. I knew the day that I met with her. I left her house crying on the
Yes.
because I thought, oh my God, what I wrote 2 years ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So it does happen.
Mm.
But again,
I hope you all, oh my God, are getting the nuggets out of this. I hope you all are doing that. All right. So let's see. What's my next question? Okay. So, what is one thing you wish you knew then when you started that you do know now?
mm, I guess, I mean, one of the things, which is what we already talked about, was that clients were not gonna be knocking on my door immediately.
Hmm.
And so that was hard because again, right, we open a business, we're so excited, and like you said before too, when you get the first client, you're super motivated to keep going.
Hmm.
But when you're not getting them, and also like it happened to me, some people around you tell you, you know you're very expensive, and things like that. At first you're like, it's fine, but
Hmm.
then you start wondering. So you have to have the support, like you guys, like the Concierge Academy or something, in order to move forward to grow your business, because clients are not gonna pour, you know, they're
Yes.
just not gonna pour. So that was the first thing that came to my mind that I wish I had known before.
Yeah. And I think that's why in my book, The Concierge Life, that's why it was so important for me to kind of put that stuff in there because nobody warned me about that. So I like let it out in there. I put it all out in there just to let people know that if they are experiencing this, and they will experience this, that there's nothing wrong with them. They are not broken. Their business model is not broken. Well, the model could be broken a little bit, but you don't even know that until a couple years in. Um, but your business idea itself is not broken. Even if the people around you don't understand it,
Mm,
um, it will work out. But that's why I shared a lot of I call it truth telling. Like that's part of why I'm here on this work
yeah.
on this planet, is to be a truth teller. I don't
Hmm.
hold back. I just like say it like it is. And
Yeah.
sometimes to a fault, like I'll say things and people are like, ugh, right? And I'm like, sorry. Like I don't mean it in a mean way. I'm just like if somebody
Training.
would have warned
Yeah.
me, I
Yeah.
would have been prepared, right? And I still probably wouldn't have been prepared, but then I would have just again known it's not just me, right? That same thing that we started talking
Yeah.
about in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what is one of the biggest mistakes you've made in your business,
Mm.
and how did you change it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Biggest mistakes. Um, well, I don't know if this will count as a mistake, but it was very hard for me to communicate the idea.
Mm.
Because many, I mean, one, and I think we all agree on this, we do so many things. So it's so hard to talk about what we do in 30 seconds or
In 30
when,
seconds, yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
like,
We
excuse
talk
me?
about this a lot in the Academy and CA Live. Yeah.
Okay. And then English is not my first language. So sometimes, even today, but now we laugh, when I'm at the network event and sometimes I'm grabbing the microphone and I'm presenting my business. And then at the end, I get like stuck there, like somehow words don't come out. And I'm like, I sometimes think, see, if this were in Spanish, I would be totally okay. But it's in English. But I think that's a thought that I have that I'm
Oh,
trying to overcome.
correct.
To see what's happening with the newsletters at first. I was like, how am I going to write in English?
Mhm.
A newsletter? Hello.
Mhm.
But it's like, whatever, I'm going to do it. And I did. So that's, it's not called a mistake, I guess, but it's a lesson that
True.
I've been learning. Communicating, it's crucial for us because many people don't know what we do. And
Yeah.
so one of the things that I'm doing now is like, instead of trying to explain the whole
Mhm.
business, now in every network event, what I do, it's once a month, the breakfast.
Mhm.
In every month, I do one service. So
Yep.
one month I'll speak about property management, the other month I'll speak about waiting services, the other
Yep.
month I'll speak about vacation, you know
Yep.
depending on also what the newsletter of that month is talking
Yep.
about. I'll go ahead with that at the network event. So it's been, but now it's in June, it's going to be 3 years of business, so you learn, right, from those mistakes,
Right. Of
um,
course.
lessons that we all have to learn.
Yeah. And
But yeah,
again, like I don't believe in mistakes per se. They really are. They just are lessons. A mistake is just a lesson as long as you're willing to learn from it.
right, right,
Right.
yeah,
And owning up to it.
hmm,
Right. Taking personal responsibility for it.
yeah,
Right. So when people aren't getting clients and they're like, well, I'm trying everything. And I'm like, well, you're not actually trying everything
hmm,
because, right, you have to keep trying until you get the result that you want.
hmm,
That is personal responsibility.
hmm,
Um, so yeah, it's all a lesson to be had. And that's, I'm glad you shared that too. That was something we did a whole segment on that last year at CA Live about
hmm,
how to communicate in the 30 seconds and right in our conversational 30 seconds,
yeah,
that how that makes a huge difference when you are going out there, especially when you're still trying to find your own words, right? And
yeah,
you're like, oh, I could do this and this and this and this and this. And at that point, it's just going, whoa,
hmm, hmm,
because most of these people actually aren't your ideal clients and they don't get it, right?
hmm,
But
yeah,
when you educate them in a way, they become your strongest referral partners.
hmm,
And we do a lot of that in CA and the Ignite program.
hmm.
So, what would you say to anyone starting out in this industry? What piece of advice would you give them to anyone who's starting out in the industry?
Um, Something that I've learned from many people and from you too, which I used to not do. I'm a perfectionist. Well, I'm gonna say I used to be.
Yes, that's me too.
Yeah.
I'm a recovering
Yes,
perfectionist.
me too. So, that waiting for everything to be perfect,
Mhm.
nothing is ever going to be perfect. And it's never going to be perfect because we are human beings and because we live in this beautiful planet. So
Yes.
just move forward. Like I said before, believe in yourself, believe in what you're doing,
Mhm.
stay positive, and just try to get the support that you need because sometimes, even if you're the most positive person in the world, I am super positive, but some days it's like, I need that hand, or
Yes.
or so also surrounding yourself by people like you, not the downers, but people like you that are either in the same industry or others or none, but positive people. I think that's super important when you start your business, but it's also going to serve you for your life because it's
Yes.
just like you become that.
Yes.
It's vice versa, I'm thinking, because your business is who you are, but also
Correct.
vice versa.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going back to see life. That's why it's so important that you grow, that you personally grow, because that's completely going to reflect in your business.
Yeah. And I have some really fun stuff in store for us this year. I'm so excited.
Exactly.
I was mentally preparing this morning while I was in the shower. A lot of times, I will think about, like, I will wait until probably a few weeks before CA Live to actually write the content, but I've been thinking about the content that I want to present and share and teach for 6 months, right? And then I just allow myself the time to kind of like let it cook a little bit. And then an idea will come to me and I'll be like, oh, yeah, that's how I want to share this. That's how I want to share this. And you
Right.
can't see it right now, but I have the beginnings of the Post-its on my sidewall right here because I've been thinking for months, like, what do I want to teach this year? What are the concepts that I want to teach, right? And the theme this year is all about expanding your impact through your community, through your marketing, and through yourself.
Mhm.
And so all of the things that we're going to be doing under that umbrella this year. So it's going to be super, super fun.
Exciting.
So excited. All right. So let's just wrap it up in one final sentence for everyone who watched this session today with us. What's one last goodbye sentence you would say to them?
One last goodbye sentence about
Anything.
them. Whoa.
Let's inspire them.
Right. Um, you can do it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. I could feel it coming through. I could literally
Yeah, me
hear it before you said it. This is what happens when you
too.
coach with someone for a long time. It's like you kind of like, it all kind of comes through like together, right? It's like symbiotic, right?
Yeah.
So you can do it. And thank you for everything that you shared today, Naima. This was an
You're so
amazing,
welcome.
amazing interview. I think so many people are going to get so much value just from listening to this. And of course, if they want to join us at CA Live or join one of our programs as we open them, we would love to see you there and help hold your hand through this process so that you're not doing this alone. Thank you all so much for being with us today. Mwah. Bye.
Bye.